This is not small. This is about as big as they get. The only thing bigger than this would be the big Suburban, but it's still pretty much the Suburban chassis. This is the 2022 Chevy Tahoe. It is the bigger engine, thank God, because you had the smaller engine before. This is the 6.2 liter Ecotec V8. I love that it's got Eco in the title.
Ecotec 3.
You're right. It is the third gen. That doesn't mean it's economical, by the way.
No.
Just so we can clarify that.
And this thing's huge.
It's big, yes.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
TV, web, and podcast. This is Everyday Driver.
I forgot how big these were.
Uh-huh.
This makes my Expedition look like a matchbox.
Isn't that interesting?
It drives really small in comparison to this. And I mean the IP, how high you sit, the amount of sheet metal ahead of you. And I'm so glad to hear that 6.2 liter V8s aren't dead. You can still get them. Here it is. This is the engine you want. 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. It's a monster.
Yes.
But you pay for it.
Yeah, you do.
I was proud that I got the average fuel economy down to 13.5, but Todd went and did me better. He got it down to 13 average.
Yep.
That was fantastic. Well done.
It's rated
Congratulations.
14. It's rated 14 city, 19 highway, 16 overall. You and I are doing none of that. And I will say, though, with the fact that we are at altitude and we drive up and down hills a lot, we never get close to what the supposed MPG is. But all of this to say, it's not good. It's just not good. You are buying this for every reason other than economy.
That's for sure. You have kids. You need the space. You want the ultimate vehicle to go car camping because it's got 2 power outlets and all the space you could possibly need. Unless you have the big brood and then you need the more space behind the third row seats. But starting to feel like you're getting your money's worth. Even though at $72,710, it is not inexpensive. Plus, with the kind of gas you're going to be burning because you're just going to put your foot down because the power is so good. This does seem to be the buy. When we drove the Denali and the Escalade.
Yeah, for sure.
We liked those a lot.
The updated Escalade is awesome. Really good. Yeah.
However, this is the same one, same everything, unless you want that Escalade, unless you like the styling of the Denali better. This is the one you want. Because it has everything and it rides so well.
The Escalade was 30 grand more than this. That was the problem. Maybe it's just me, but I think my perception of cost here is somewhat universal, and that is, I think we all imagined the Tahoe to be $60,000, and it does start there. But the truth is,
it starts there.
When you buy the step below this, that's not the body-on-frame, you buy the Tellurides and the Palisades and the Sequoias. Those are the ones that are touching 60. These start at 60, and this loaded out. Now, this has got $11,000 worth of extras on it. The Escalade seemed like something that cost about 80. No, they're 100. So guess what? You get into big stuff that hauls the whole family and tows something, you're spending a lot of money. Now, this is still also the traditional body-on-frame, V8 out front. There's no unibody construction here, so it should ride terribly, and it doesn't.
It doesn't. That's the best part about it. So this is equipped with the Z71 off-road package. That is $6,000. It also has the off-road performance package, which is another $2,600. Those combined give you magnetic ride and the air suspension. So it feels like it's on hydraulics a little bit. It's constantly hissing and adjusting its levels and showing you it's constantly doing its thing. But this is the road trip machine.
Absolutely.
This is brilliant. I'm not saying it handles well through corners because you feel the weight, but who cares? You're just cruising. You're on an interstate for hours at a time. This rides so well, it's worth the money. It's the big one. And those other smaller ones you mentioned that are still expensive, you can't do the off-road thing in those very well.
True.
Whereas this, it's not a rock crawler.
True.
But this does the off-road thing very, very well.
It has the full low-range gearbox. You can obviously run it as a rear-wheel drive only, which those 7-seat unibodies don't run that way.
Correct.
Which does help in feel. You can tow almost 8,000 pounds with this. The diesel guy can tow more than this, but again, this is still almost 8,000 pounds worth of towing.
With air ride suspension?
With air ride suspension.
It's great.
And it is funny how it hisses and burbles every time you turn it off. It resettles itself. It like settles down on its suspension.
Well, it also stops when you open the back door to get something. It's freeze.
Wait, hang on. Let's
and
stay
then you
at one
close
height.
the door and then it continues going.
It finishes doing what it was doing.
So
You're
funny.
absolutely right. It's ridiculous. This shouldn't ride this well.
It shouldn't.
And we like magnetic ride.
Nothing truck-like.
No.
Nothing.
We like magnetic ride, but that combined with the air suspension, and this just isolates you from everything.
And that's why you buy this. This is what you are looking for, and it does it so well. And therefore, I think this is the play. Even at $72,000, with the off-road package, it does give you off-road capability that you do want. You get the 20-inch wheels, you get the StabiliTrak, you get the 2-speed transfer case, and you get that sweet bash shield up front underneath with the red tow hooks. I mean, yes. This is what you want, because you're going to take the fire road up to the campsite with the cooler and the stakes and all this stuff.
Get one of the trailers that articulates.
There we go.
Now we're having fun.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the truck, and it's so great on road. These will mostly spend their time on road.
Yes.
And it just shines. 10-speed automatic transmission, which is shared with many things.
Yes.
But that just means you're in low RPM cruising along. It's pretty quiet.
Surprisingly so. In fact, you don't hear the engine unless you completely bury your foot. Otherwise, you just hear tire noise, which of course you do because this is a monster on big tires.
This is what you want. I mean, it just feel like ready to saw some miles. The biggest drink you can possibly imagine.
In multiple cup holders all over the cars. Yeah, for sure.
And call it good. I like this more than I thought I would.
Really? Okay. All right.
I do. You know me. I've been more of a Ford guy than anything.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this and your Tahoe experience because you guys loved, you and your wife
loved. We had a GMC Yukon for about a decade. We put 200,000 miles on it, and most of it was driving from LA to Mammoth on like all hours of the day and night.
Yeah.
And it is interesting to see the progression of this because, again, this is the step down from the Escalade, which we both love right now. We think the Escalade is living up to its price and reputation right now like nothing in Cadillac's lineup has in a long time. It does feel like standard of the world over at Escalade land. So here we are,
Escalade land,
stepping down 25, 30 grand,
Yeah.
and the good stuff of the Escalade is still here. It's not as nice inside.
Sure.
The usability of it is still here. It's just, this rules the road.
Really does, and it's easy to drive.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying it's so over-assisted that you're not, well, it is, but you're still feeling some weight.
Yeah. Because the whole thing, it's almost 6,000 pounds. Of course you're feeling weight. You can't get away from that weight. 6,000.
That's okay.
There are bridges in small neighborhoods you got to be worried, okay? Because you're nearly 6,000 pounds. Like there's some bridges in small neighborhoods where I don't know if I'm supposed to go in there.
5,000 pound weight limit?
Yes.
Right. Not a driver's car. We're not looking for that. But for what it does, especially with these captain's chairs, the amount of space back here, the third row is great. Even the space, these have grown in length. The space behind the third row is not minimal. It's still good.
No, that's the thing. It's bigger with the third row up than any of those lesser ones we're talking about. The Tellurides, the Palisades, the
Highlander,
all of those that we really like. You put the third row up and you start to compromise rear space. This actually still has really usable rear space in spite of not being the big Suburban.
Well, let's talk about styling. It's hard for the design team to make something look like it costs like it does without going down market. This shouldn't just look like a Chevy. It still needs to look kind of premium. I think that greater than, less than symbols that are the signature running lights up there actually break up the front, the visual height of the front better than the Escalade. That Escalade looks really tall, and it's designed to. It's just massive and imposing. And this kind of the whole styling makes the vehicle look a little bit smaller than it is. I like that shoulder line, very crisp theme down the side, and everything else is pretty refined. The major themes, of course, are very tiny headlights and that C-pillar. I'm a fan of the styling, and I've never really been Chevy guy before.
I know. That's interesting.
I'm liking this thing so much. And then when you climb in, it's not the Escalade. But I almost don't care because this feels like a $60,000, $70,000 truck. It feels good everywhere you look, everywhere you touch. And speaking of touch,
you're going to go there, aren't you?
This 10-speed automatic transmission is controlled by switches.
We've talked about it before. We railed on it before, and it has not changed, unfortunately. The Escalade doesn't do this.
Yeah.
That is, I'm just going to land on terrible.
This is a choice, and the more I drive it, I understand from an ergonomics perspective. Look at the space that it frees up in this cooler-sized binnacle and the 2 cup holders and giant armrest with another cooler down in there. This is fantastic because You want to be able to see the controls. They're easy to understand.
They are. They're
very
great.
well
They're
designed.
really good, for sure. All the HVAC stuff is wonderful and not tied to the touchscreen,
Yes.
which we really like. All of that's very good.
I like a shift lever. I like something that connects me mechanically, especially with a 4x4. I accept this, except for using these two fingers like you're playing chopsticks on the piano, and this is how I shift up and down. There's no paddle? No, really?
The button's back there now. Advance the track and do the volume.
No, I'd take paddles on a four-wheel drive like this if we got rid of the plus and minus.
I'll give you my alternate thought, which gets into one of the things I like to rant about. Him, it's doors. Me, it's vents.
Oh, yeah.
We have this stupid pocket on the right side because they don't know what to balance the shifter with. We have a pocket of stupidity over here, by the way, which now is actually got a latch, and then it's spring-loaded.
How deep is your pocket of stupidity?
It's
very deep?
It's not. It doesn't work for a phone. It's not quite right for sunglasses. They had to fill it somewhere to balance it. What they should have done is put whatever this shifter mess is below the screen, and the vents on either side.
Not a bad idea. I like that.
This is a fail in usability. I don't like the switches. I'm with you in the fact that after using it for a week, I understand.
I mean,
the switches.
you get it. As far as space,
I understand
and
usability.
what people want.
I still think the switches are terrible, and this mismatched thing here, where you've ended up with a pocket for nothingness.
I like pocket of stupidity.
It's just.
I just want to see how deep that thing is.
Not enough.
Like
That's the problem. It's not right for a phone. It's just the
really
wrong
not.
size for everything.
It's just an extra space, and
They
that's
had to
as
fill
much-
it. Somebody's job was to design that door so that it actually has a latch and it's spring-loaded to give it premium
Security.
feel.
It's secure.
Stupid.
Well, on these switches, you'll notice the interaction. Two of the buttons that are actually push buttons involve the car not going anywhere. And I believe it operates this way. There were Monday morning meetings on this switch.
There were Monday, Wednesday, and Friday meetings about the switches. They had a lot of meetings, and that's still
Lawyers
the
were
result.
involved.
Oh my gosh, yes, the lawyers all came. They brought briefs. It happened, yeah, for sure.
And here's why. When you go into gear, reverse or drive, you have to stick a finger underneath, you have to hook it and pull up.
Like a window switch.
So you have to be deliberate about it.
Yes.
Whereas the other two, neutral and park, you just push on. So as if you bumped a switch or somehow it got knocked or bumped, if it were drive or reverse, GM would get sued because, I accidentally bumped the lightest touch on drive and it went into drive.
Yeah, that's
and
a
hit
good
something.
point, yeah.
Instead of being deliberate and pulling up on the two buttons that make the car move.
You're so right. There were meetings on that.
Because you notice
There
park
were
and
there
neutral
were lawyer
push.
meetings. Somebody signed a document about that. You
Reverse
know they
and
did.
drive,
Oh yes.
you pull up. That's why there's these finger holes, like
Yep.
a bowling ball right here.
And sorry, no.
That's
no,
why it looks
so
like that.
Bowling ball should never be equated to anything you're doing with driving. I just want to
Or
put
car
that out
design
there. That is a
whatsoever.
line in the sand. Bowling ball should not
The
come up in the
bowling
discussion.
ball shifter.
Wow.
I just
there
need
it
a
is.
thumb
You're
hole.
right.
I can save you money, by the way, because the rear seat media entertainment
Yes.
package that
What are
costs
we doing?
$2,000, you already bought the family iPads. So just get
Probably.
rid of these. We're down to $70,000.
You're right.
Still a lot of money, but of all the big ones, I think this is what you should buy.
It's way up there. It's really cool.
You also need to drive it.
Ready to drive it for sure.
And guess what happens when you drive it?
I have to use the bowling ball shifter, don't I?
Yes, you
I
do.
can't get away from it.
You can't get.
All right, I'm gonna buck up. I'm gonna buck up. I'm gonna do it.
Just tell yourself you can do this.
Look at how high this is. Look at that. I'm a big guy.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Well, there's more switches in the back. Car manufacturers have figured out, when the tailgate's open, you've got the two switches to put the third row down. Well, now on here, there's a second set for the second row. It's a great convenience.
Yes.
You can hit both sets of switches. You can hitting on the switches.
Yes, you know it.
All the seats fold down, and it's like a small New York apartment in here.
It is. I mean,
It's
there's
huge.
other people have done switches that drop both rows, but the sheer cavernous size of this, the amount of walking around and climbing around you would do to get seats folded, and you can just do it there while standing.
It's great. You're right. Other manufacturers have figured it out, but just the fact that it's here
and the fact
great.
on something of this size, it really feels
Yes.
even more like a luxury because you realize I can do it all from right here, and then I can load whatever, like a whole other car, into the back of this, for sure.
It's a parking garage there.
The scale of this, as someone that owned a Yukon for a long time, never ceases to boggle me.
Yeah.
Because I'm 6'3", so is Paul. We're big guys. The Yukon we had feels like it was maybe 3/4 scale compared to this.
I feel small in this.
The hood of this comes up almost to my sternum.
Yeah.
And this is not some big extra lifted thing. This is just, I bought a Tahoe.
I mean, it's a little lifted, I guess, with the Z71, but
it's
still.
just, oh, wait, bowling ball. Woohoo!
See, you had to pull up. Therefore, you were deliberate.
I was deliberate.
And the lawyers can
rest easy tonight, I guess, while they charge $600 an hour. Okay,
exactly
that's an affordable lawyer too, by the way. Oh, see, I've got it. It's blinking right here because it's lowering itself down.
Yeah. See.
Yeah. So
hydraulics.
I was driving this, and I suddenly remembered movies. I know that sounds weird.
Okay.
But I was thinking about movies. There are 2 movies that have the same basic
never
concept.
Think about
I know,
movies.
it's weird. Howl's Moving Castle and Mortal Engines.
I don't
Both
know
of
these
those,
movies.
I knew you would. Both of those, at their core, have a city on either legs or tracks that the city is on the move, consuming the countryside, on the move, moving around.
That's
what
cool.
this feels like. This feels like you are driving around in your own mobile castle.
That's cool.
It almost has like the keeps on the corners and like the big, the turrets and everything.
Wow.
Because it's just a huge box. And I don't actually mean this as a critique. I'm trying to get across the feel of it from the driver's seat. The corners are hard to define. Everything is way away from me.
It's true.
There are 13 cameras on this. When you are going slow speeds, and certainly when you're in reverse, it will show you what's going on with the front wheels and the back wheels and the surround view, and it's actually more vital on something this size than anything we've ever had that tech on. I mean, that tech's on everything now. I kind of love the overhead 3D view that most cars can give you now. It's very helpful for parking spaces and that kind of stuff.
Totally.
Helpful is one thing. Here, I'm clinging to it. Because it's just so big.
Yeah.
You go to some shopping area where they have small parking spaces, and you're going to pray to the gods of those 13 cameras, because thank God they're here. All right, 10 speeds.
You've got the power. This thing
want the V8.
moves.
Yep.
That actually sounds good too.
Yeah, it's a good old
proper
Chevy V8.
Yep. I'd almost rather be in the passenger seat than driving this thing because it is so huge. I feel tiny in this thing.
Yes.
Relaxed, happy, comfortable. It feels luxurious.
It's your moving castle. I'm going to stay with that.
Yeah, it
is. The
is.
only thing about it, though, is I will say I wish the seats were more comfortable. The seats are okay. They're not great, but as I drive this,
the lumbar over here too,
I know,
which is nice. The passenger has an inflatable bladder back here.
You can get the heated stuff here. This does not have cooled seats. I don't even know if it has
I
heated
noticed that.
seats. You can heat the whole seat, or you can just heat the backrest.
It's kind of
I've
nice.
never seen that before.
Your loins need heat.
I would have liked to have had heated and cooled instead.
Yeah, see,
that
you've
vent
got the
should be here. That vent should be. I'm going to go there again. Get rid of
this.
What is this?
Put
it there.
Pool of sadness. What did you call this?
It's the pocket of stupidity.
Pocket of stupidity.
Yeah, that's
Same
what
thing.
it is.
That's good for nothing. See, the phone's too big, and you can't even latch it when you.
I know. You are preaching to the associate pastor, not just the choir. The associate pastor is so on board with you there.
This is stupid.
It's the pocket of stupidity. I know.
I'm just going to close that off.
Yes,
so I'm not so
now
distracted.
you feel better. As I drive this, I am struck by 2 things every time I drive it, and that is, wow, this is massive.
This feels huge.
And followed by, this drives great.
Yeah.
It absorbs everything. It doesn't bother you with anything. That magnetic ride and air suspension is phenomenal.
That sets this apart.
If you've never been a person that was on board with those 2 items, you will drive this and shock yourself with how easy it is to drive, with how comfortable it is doing everything. That's actually the reason I noticed the seats, because the ride is so good and it's so comfortable that I just go, I want the seats to be a little better. They're not bad. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying the seats are bad.
They're really not bad.
But they're just middle of the road in a vehicle that is one of the better riding and handling monsters on the road.
They leave the Denali and the Escalade for the better seats.
I guess.
Got to leave the room to dice it up a little bit more.
For sure.
See, you've got the steering wheel to grab onto. I wish there were more grab handles. I wish for one on that A-pillar, because it's so tall when you're getting in and out.
Getting in helps.
You want to not use the steering wheel.
For sure, yeah.
The Ford has one. 12 years old Ford has the grab handle over there. Just saying.
I like that they've created a digital dash now that you can customize. You can pick what you want it to show you, because obviously as a digital dash, they're all this way now. You can configure them. You can make it show you what you want it to. You can do a classic gauges look. You can do the edges look, which is what I've got going on right now.
Yep.
There's a lot of variants. And then you can pick, okay, so what's the secondary information? You can even go to the tertiary information. The bar along the bottom can be just your gas mileage, but it can also be all other extra things as well.
It's
you can
very
pick
clean.
it all. It's
Yeah.
very cool. It's all easy to use. This has one of the best wireless Apple CarPlay systems I've used.
Couldn't agree more.
You hook it up and it's fast and it's clear and bright and wonderful, and it also has Google Assistant tapped in.
Yes, and the cool thing is you don't even have to connect your phone to be able to use Google Maps and Google Play. That is built in.
True.
I was going to connect my phone to type in an address first, and then I noticed all you have to do, you've got the Google icon, the Maps icon right there, and it operates independently of connecting your Android, your Apple device.
That's awesome. That is
Brilliant.
great.
And the icons, at first I wasn't convinced, but this is GM's take to do icons that are uniquely theirs. And if you just look at the simplicity of them, they really work.
Totally.
The interface has gotten good. The buttons feel good. They're not the 90s GM rounded off plasticky bubble things. The interactions are really good here.
It all feels up to the price. That's what I'm very impressed by.
And this is the Chevy.
This is the Chevy.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Save $2,000, don't get the multimedia thing in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
But otherwise, this is how I'd spec a Tahoe. If I were getting one, and it's still huge, it rides so good. The only trade-off is that fuel economy. Oh, you're back at 13.9. How dare you?
It's because we actually ran some time on the freeway. I almost got up to what they claim the city driving is. Almost.
Right.
Almost there.
They claim, 14 in the city,
14 city,
19
19 highway, 16 combined.
For a combined total of not good is really what that is.
Yeah,
And
in 2020. Here's the thing. In the year 2000, that was concerning gas mileage. 20 plus years later, that's shocking that anything does that. But they do have to put it in there, so there it is.
Well, for perspective, my 2012 Expedition EL with the big V8, only 310 horsepower, 360 pound-feet of torque out of that V8. And this isn't any better fuel economy. Now it's got almost 100 more horsepower.
It is more powerful, and it is bigger.
It is bigger, but that thing's just as heavy.
Yes.
And this doesn't get any better fuel economy. In over a decade of technological refinements,
This is what
V8.
But when you buy a shipping
like
container and you put it on wheels and you give it a V8, this is the economy you come back with.
So.
But that's not why you buy it. You buy
sure.
it because you and the family and the dog and the camping gear and the boat are still
And the
having
boat.
the best ride of just about anybody
Yeah.
on the road. While you drink your tub of soda, and everybody else has tub of soda.
Exactly.
This is the American dream right here.
You have to fill the soda outside by the unleaded.
It has a nozzle.
You can't fill
Absolutely.
those on the inside.
No, of course
I'm
not.
sorry, sir.
Yes.
We keep the cups in the back behind
Yes.
the building.
It's those cups you buy because you get free refills later. Because if anybody's coming back to refill the 44 ounce, you know what? You just have it, sir. That's fine.
The
you just
cups
go.
are reusable too. You can use them as a hot tub at home.
We are living the American dream.
This is why
Yes,
you buy
we
the
are.
Tahoe.
It's ridiculous.
Buy the Tahoe.